This is the Patrick Alexander Podcast. Welcome to your upgrade.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. So this podcast is about personal responsibility. The people that I invite to come onto this podcast are guests who have stopped outsourcing their health, their body, their lives, and they started taking responsibility for how they live. And I see you nodding already, James. Amazing. Today, I'm joined by James Dawkins. James is someone who has spent years questioning what we've been told about food, about health, and what it actually means to live in a modern environment. Now, his work and conversations tend to sit at the intersection of nutrition, personal responsibility, and critical thinking, especially around how disconnected many people have become from real food and real signals from the body. Rather than following a single doctrine or trend, James has taken a long-lived experience approach to understanding health, one that seems to have evolved over time through experimentation, observation, and reflection. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Patrick. It is awesome to be here. I have been looking forward to talking with you. Absolutely so fun to follow you on social media, across platforms, to see just you're also very straightforward to the audience, into your microphone, on your walk, outside in daylight. And I've also heard your conversations, how you transitioned in your lifestyle to where you are today. And so I have a similar story in a sense of I understand that you lived a vegetarian, vegan lifestyle, and you weren't as healthy as you are today as a carnivore. I am also the same way. I lived that fruitarian, vegan, vegetarian lifestyle in the past and was not nearly as healthy as I am today as a carnivore eating real whole foods, red fatty meat. People don't want to talk about red fatty meat being a superfood. A lot of people in the world, as you started this conversation by saying, are not fully understanding of what a superfood is or what a whole food is. Red fatty meat is a whole food. Red fatty meat is the superfood for humans. Everything else is for starvation. And if anybody disagrees with that, then go outside and go find enough plants to eat for yourself and your family every single day of the year, no matter which hemisphere you're in, no matter which time of year, which season. Plants are always local and seasonal. This monocropping availability of plants is unnatural. So what is available? Red fatty meat all the time. And it's not just the cow. There's so many more, and there's so doesn't have to be red fatty meat alone. I think that's most optimal. And I'll digress here in a moment. But anyway, you got me excited. I'm very into this lifestyle. Yes, emphasis on lifestyle is more than just what we eat. It is, like you said, it is a thinking process. It's a mental process. It is a daily habits lifestyle. So I'll stop there. But thank you for having me.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you for introducing me, James, in this podcast, on my own podcast. Thank you very much. No, it's true. I love being outdoors. I actually, just before we were recording this podcast, I was outside. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's winter here, but it's a beautiful sunny day. And there were a few comments that I got on, because, you know, the more stuff you put out there, the more following you get, but the more people you also get commenting, maybe, I wouldn't necessarily say always negative stuff, but at least challenging your posts. And I like to use these challenges to create new posts. So I was just out recording as well, talking about this whole lifespan. You know, the thing what I often get, and we're completely diverting from this podcast, but I don't the structure, but I actually really don't mind, because this is a conversation between you and me. So this recording that I just did was, I often get on my when we speak about, and I'm sure you feel the same, when we speak about a meat heavy diet and we're looking at antiquity, and we agree that this is the diet humans have been eating for hundreds of thousands of years, and even before Homo sapiens came about, we've been eating meat. And then people say, yeah, but look, all these people, they were dead at the age of 30. And this argument just keeps on coming back and back. Now, I can tell you what I think about that, but I'm going to leave that up to the short and the reel that I just created. I want to hear your opinion on that.
Yes. Well, easy. Think critically here. If every person died at age 30, then how did the kids grow up? When were the humans having kids?
Very good
It's a
point.
simple question. I mean, of course, now I'll get to the real response in my takeaway, and I think the reality is we take out infant mortality and the average lifespan increased arguably to today's standards or even higher. Because let's be clear, today's standards of lifespan are actually stagnating or decreasing. Like in the US, here where I am, the lifespan's decreasing. That's not a good thing. It's been steadily increasing across the world. I think in Eastern Europe, it's also decreasing. I think some areas in South America, it's decreasing. I think some areas in South Africa, Southern Africa, it's decreasing the lifespan. So, like, let's not act like everybody today, not say not you and me, but like the masses, not act like we're all just healthy and the medical system is carrying us to higher and higher years. No, it's not. So critically think, did these people just die off at 30 and the kids that were 10 years old just take care of themselves? No. Your ancestors. These are your ancestors you're talking about, people. It's not just random people. These are your ancestors. So think about that too. This is your family. Um, no, and infant mortality, yes, of course. We didn't have controlled temperature homes. So if kids were born in the middle of winter, it's going to be cold, and these kids may not survive. These infants. If the kids are born in the middle of summer and it's near closer to the equator or hot time of year, then it's also very hot. There's no Today we're used to kids being born in a hospital in a controlled environment, which that's arguable in the first place, but we'll just leave it at that. I think home births is where it should be, but kids are born in a hospital and it's a temperature controlled environment. So that's pretty basics. Any sort of alternative ailments could get in the way in a natural environment. So when we clear the infant mortality out of the equation, then humans lived to be arguably at today's standards of lifespans or even longer. And we could only need to look at modern hunter-gatherers around the world to assess this. There are people and there are tribes who have not been infiltrated and confused, air quotes, by modern society. And some of them have been investigated or some of them have been researched. And you can look and see them and see their activity and see their health. And the older humans aren't dealing with the chronic diseases that we are as a modern mass society.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And you made a very good point about childbirth, like the death actually at childbirth for children. Of course, then there's the infectious diseases, there's the sanitation issue, clean water access. There's so many things. You're saying that, and I've heard this before as well, that the average age, basically the lifespan now, and we're talking about lifespan. We're not even talking about health span because that's a whole different discussion. But the lifespan is going down. So now something very interesting happened because, of course, this is due to a lot of the crap that we're eating. Now, to give people some context, as we're recording this conversation, that new food pyramid just got released by the American administration. Right. And it's creating already quite a bit of discussion on social media and even on mainstream news channels as well. So I've got basically two questions for you into one. The first one is, what was your thoughts when you first saw this food pyramid? And second of all, do you believe that this could change the declining lifespan into at least keeping it level or maybe increasing again over time?
Yes, it's awesome. It is a staple change that is 30 years too late. The first food pyramid was incorrect in the first place. It should have never been released. Um, the information and the guidance provided was false, intentionally driven by business. We know that now, and so it's nice to get it right for the people who submit to authority. Someone like you or someone like me, it doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
We're well past following authority. We don't outsource our health. So, but for those who submit to, I need to be told what to eat, this is beautiful. It will help in a positive direction for health. And to also answer your other question, when I first saw the food pyramid, it was through a series of different text messages and group chats, like on Instagram in the space. And I'm like, okay, somebody made another fake food pyramid. I've seen a lot of the fake food pyramids full of steaks. Great. I've seen obviously this the South Park episode with Flip the Food Pyramid. I'm like, okay, cool. Someone just made another meme. And finally I looked at it more. I kept getting it and I'm like, why do I keep seeing the same food pyramid? And then in the upper right, I saw USDA, US Department of Agriculture. And I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't real, is it? So once I saw USDA in the upper right, I'm like, okay, let me go in my browser and actually see if I get any real results. And just the stack of results was real. It was, I was like, okay, there's a press conference associated, with the inverted food pyramid behind the individuals. I was like, oh, wow. So we are moving in a positive direction here. This is good change. A lot of carnivores, a lot of truth seekers did not like this because it still had all the extra foods, even on the lower inversion portion
Sure.
of the triangle that aren't needed. I agree with that, but like I mentioned, for those who need the direction, those who submit to authority, then need this because the I want to make a point though. The people who do submit to authority need to be asking critical questions right now. Why was the previous food pyramid the opposite of today? Why would I just blanketly follow a food pyramid that now has flipped itself right side up and inverted? This should be a dangerous question to ask. Do I need to
Yeah.
submit to authority here? Because yesterday, like quite literally yesterday, I was following a legacy food pyramid because my plate I don't think really count. Who even knew what my plate was? Nobody. Everybody followed the previous food pyramid. It was just legacy. And that's the whole point. The whole point of the new inverted food pyramid is uh it's telling to how powerful the previous version was. They didn't do an inverted my plate. They did an
They
inverted
didn't turn the plate
pyramid.
around. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. I'm happy, but as a step in the positive direction, it will help with overall health because I know in my own family, my family follows what the guidelines say. Well, the guidelines say eat lots of greens. I'm proud to say the past tense now. The guidelines did say make sure you limit red meat. The guidelines did XYZ. The guidelines said you can eat, have limited added sugar. Now there's no added sugar in the modern guidelines, food guidelines. So all these things, all the kids, it's normal to have these ailments. It's normal to say, "Oh, my kid has ADHD. My kid is going to
Yeah.
take medicine. My kid, I'm growing up now. I'm in my mid-20s. I have joint. I mean, must be getting older." These aren't normal things. These are all because of the food pyramid. If you want to follow that guideline, these are all symptoms of really metabolic heading towards disease. If it's not already a disease state, but definitely inflammation, definitely imbalances, all stemming from the foods.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So in your personal life then, James, have you always maybe take me back to a time and share with us. There must have been a time in your life where you weren't maybe necessarily following the food pyramid, but you were not eating a carnivore diet as you do now. So I just would like you to take us back to the time before, if you wish.
Yes. Oh, the sleeping walking zombie. you like to call it, where I didn't think for myself. I just moved in whatever direction that I was kind of shuttled to, just like in a sense a sheep. And I ate whatever, it didn't matter. At work, the free food were the fried chicken and the fries and the cakes. Every corner, at least here in the United States, has fast food and even even sit down restaurants. If you open the menu and you flip through every page, now I see that as all just toxic foods, toxic products. That's not real food. Just give me the steak. It's not even on the menu. Just ground beef. I don't care if it's not on the menu. Just give me that. But back then it was like, okay, I have to order from the menu. And now when we look at every item down the menu, it is toxic product. And so I was eating and consuming toxic product daily, multiple times a day from waking up. I'd hop to my favorite fast food restaurant and on my way to work and down whatever two quick sandwiches each time. Easy. And I remember thinking, that wasn't too much. I won't gain too much weight from that. Tapping my tapping my big old belly in my car as my like love handles will jiggle. That's honest truth. That's what happened. I was like, that's weird. I have love handles now when I'm riding over the bumps on the road. But I'm not gaining too much weight. I just only had two sandwiches. Oh, by lunch, okay, it's time to go out. Like, time to get whatever's on that toxic product menu. And that's every day. Every day. That's really, really triggering. It should be alarming. It should scream to us. If you once we look at the menu itself, you go to the fast food restaurant and or you go to the even your sit down restaurant, even you go to the grocery store, as we all know now in the space, 99% of the grocery store is toxic product. Even the section titled health foods is
Yeah.
toxic 20 ingredient product. And an emphasis on the word product. It is not food. Food is one ingredient, two ingredients max. If you want to include salt as an ingredient, fine, but really it's a mineral, it's separate, fine. But real food comes with one ingredient. And so anyway, that's where I was. I
I
was
always found it interesting in the
flipping.
supermarket. Sorry to interrupt you, but I always find it
Excuse
interesting
me.
in supermarkets where you have a health food section. Because, okay, it might not be health food, but if that is labeled health food, then doesn't that already show that the supermarket knows that everything else is not health food? So it's all crap.
Yeah,
If you have to label food as health food, it's always find it ironic.
I do too. It is. And also that's the critical thinking aspect that you started your episode with. Critical thinking is simple questions. It is not hard to wake up and say, I'm going to think critically today. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to think. No, the simple questions is, why does the grocery store have a health food section? And it's only like a quarter of an aisle on one side, at least here in the US. Why does a grocery store have an organic food section when it's only just like a 16th of the of all the plants, the fruits and vegetables, and what makes a food organic instead of it just being marketing? These are the simple questions we need to ask. This is critical thinking. This is not a scientific paper. This is not a go to class and write dissertation. Critical thinking just means asking simple questions.
So talk about the turning point for you, Dan, because you said you were in the past, you were basically eating anything.
Huh.
You were noticing your love handle started to grow. I don't also share with us how long ago that was, but I would like you to talk about what changed. Like at some point, that critical thinking that you're just talking about started to arise in you as well. Talk about this, please.
Yes. Well, I've been on carnivore diet for 2 years and 3 months at this point, and I've been very consistent because of the benefits, the energy added, mental clarity added, improved mood, a lot of positive benefits. So I've been very consistent, no desire to go back to eating those things. So 2 years, 3 months. Um, and what motivated me to get on is to actually critically think and face the challenges head on. No longer are there the excuses of, well, I know I can have the number of foods that I'm eating every day and I'm okay. I'm fitting my weight. No, I was not in a good shape. I could not work out the way that I desired to. I've been restricted to more of a static lifestyle because of joint pain, even in my, at that point, mid 30s. And I'm like, this is not normal. So I needed to, that was a critical thinking moment. The joint pain, me being static in life because I could not move the way that I wanted to, is a heading with conflict, excuse me, facing conflict head on. Me looking in the mirror is looking at conflict head on and saying to myself, I walk past this mirror before I take a shower or whenever I'm going to the restroom, and I don't look at myself. Why is that? Because I'm not proud of who I am. That's facing conflict in the mirror. I have to look at myself in the mirror honestly and say, look at you. Me, look at you. You look at me. I don't like this. So it's like, all right, what can I do? I know that what I'm eating isn't working. I know that I'm trying to outwork a bad diet. That's not possible to do, but I'm working out at the gym static. Like I said, I'm curling with my feet are stuck to the ground, joints hurt. I'm trying to go from machine to machine and battling other people who also have their own self-proclaimed reservations on it at a gym environment. And I'm spending 60 to 90 minutes a day and I'm still getting fatter and my joints are still hurting more. And so, yeah, ultimately it came down to face the critical thinking, face the conflict head on. I can't work out the way I want to. My joints hurt. I'm gaining weight. I'm always sleepy. Um, there's little things. One of the fun characteristics of what motivated me was I have an extended drive to and from my job, about 2.5, pushing on 3 hours every day. And when I was heavy, I would have to take my ride in my shorts because my jeans were too tight. These jeans
Yeah.
that currently I cannot fit. I cannot fit them. Actually, I've donated the jeans from my past life before carnivore. But at that time, they were so small around the legs and around the waist. I had accumulated just so much excess fat everywhere, that I would wear shorts. And then I would change into my pants at work in the car, and I would leave the top button unbuttoned. I'd make sure my shirt was never tucked in so no one would ever notice this. And these are little things where I'm like, I need to change. I need to really, really shift 180. And yeah, I did. And I knew everything that's not working has got to stop now. One day, this was October 22nd, 2023. So I think that's actually 2 years and maybe 4 months now on carnivore. I decided I have to change everything that I'm doing. Nothing has been working, so I'm going to cut out all the crap. I knew about keto, and I've also accidentally fell into a carnivore lifestyle way back in college, for me back in 15 years ago, where I ate stew meat and eggs. I felt great, but I allowed normalization and marketing to get into my head. So I knew right away I want to eat just meat, and I'm going to find people on the internet who eat just meat. And I did. And I realized, wow, like, before I found you and before I found so many others in the community, the modern social space of the carnivore community, I found the main staples that we all know of, the bakers and the kilts, and so forth. And I was like, wow, the Shafees, this is pretty cool. People are out here. And then from listening to their podcasts and the same way that you're doing now, I realized, wow, there are actually like people like me living this lifestyle and this journey.
So what I'm interested about as well to hear is like so many people, they don't take the route that you've taken. They take the easy route. So they notice that they're overweight. They notice, like you said, that their joints are aching. They can't really go to the gym. When they do, it hurts. So what's the first thing you do? You go to your doctor, right? You go to your physician, you tell them your problems, and you get pills, and the problem is solved. Why didn't you go that direction?
Then what was a doctor going to do for me? A doctor didn't help me uh, get rid of, at that time, my pre-diabetes, quote unquote. It's all a spectrum. don't call it pre-diabetes. It's diabetes. Nobody nobody told me I was unhealthy when I had diabetes. Nobody told me I was unhealthy. No doctor told me I was unhealthy when I had anxiety and they were giving me medication for it. Nobody told me I was unhealthy when they were prescribing me medication for depression. And then what really got me before when I started this journey, when I really first triggered me for critical thinking is I walked back into my doctor's office. Well, actually, two occurrences with the doctor. I'll go into the first one. I walk into the office and he literally says to me, "Oh my gosh, you look so different. You've lost so much weight. You look great. Your blood markers look good. What have you been doing?" And I said, "Eating meat, only meat." And then the response, of course, is, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, don't do that. That's
Yeah.
not good for you." I, I said to myself, why would my doctor just tell me? Why would he tell me and observe that I'm doing good? You look good. Your blood markers. If we want to talk about bloods, the blood markers look good. All these characteristics that are positive. And suddenly I give my response and the feedback is then turned to being negative. How does everything you just said now flip? Doesn't make sense. So I questioned that. And another occurrence happened almost half a year later from that point, a year into my carnivore journey, where another doctor visit, the doctor says, "Oh, just be careful, your cholesterol's a bit high." And
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel the best I've ever felt. So I'm not worried about my cholesterol being high. This clearly doesn't work. So I'm not going to outsource my health, as you also alluded to, phrasing it that way. It is outsourcing. You want to outsource someone to fix your house, then do that. But that's because somebody can outsource your health, or excuse me,
Yeah.
outsource your house.
Your
You
house.
cannot outsource health. Nobody is going to enter my body and say, "Hey, eat the right foods." No one's going to enter my mind and my consciousness and say, "Hey, go out and exercise today." So if you outsource your health to what a doctor says, I think coaching can help. Coaching is a mental state. Coaching gets into the habits, the actions of what the individual has to do. Coaching promotes self maintenance. It is ideally not a forever contract with the coach. I think it could be long term, but not forever. But doctors, the way it's set up is they want you to rely on them. The system needs reliance. It needs people who aren't critically thinking for themselves to never escape. I'm not healthy. Hey, doc, help me out. Here's a pill. No, your unhealth never came from a pill shortage. So the doctor's approach is to keep people hooked. The approach isn't to look at any root cause, and it's to just look at prescribing. That's the model. And then health coaching is very different. I love a lot of carnivores in the space are getting into health coaching, and that is to give individuals a mental state of self-maintenance, of self-growth, of responsibility. And it's not a long-term contract. It's like, look, let me inspire you to gain yourself, your own health, and then I will detach. Go and now you go help somebody else. So that's the model I like. I'm not in the coaching space, but I do believe that there are areas out there people want to benefit with their health. Go find a coach and don't go find a dietitian because the mainstream dietitians are just raised on the same educational model, which is maintenance. Just go eat the things that aren't helping you with your health. Follow the food pyramid, follow the food guidelines. Now the old guidelines that were just outdated just days ago might shift that with dietitians. But even we want to shift back to the mainstream medical system. Doctors, if they don't have any nutrition advice, are going to then refer people or customers, because they're not patients. I don't want to get into the classic meaning of patients, but they're customers, and they're going to tell them to go to a dietitian who will then not help or alleviate the issues because they're following guidelines that are outdated or incorrect in the first place.
Yeah, I hear what you say. You mentioned something that I just wanted to come back to because I thought that was interesting, that in your college days you were already carnivore and you kind of went back to that. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes,
Can
I
you
in
share a little bit
college
more about
or
that?
absolutely, yeah. It was interesting. I moved in with by myself for an entire year, and instead of having the influence of roommates, a dorm life, or other people around, I was like, oh, I got to go shop for myself. I've got to go to the store and cook for myself, and also I'm making a small wage, so I got to find something affordable. So I said, oh, you know what? Instinctively, I said eggs and ground beef will be eggs, ground beef, or stew meat will be the best way to eat. I don't need rice, even though that's cheap. I don't think I need it. I think it's going to expand my belly. These are things I said to myself even 15 years ago, before carnivore was a mainstream or even a midstream movement the way it is today. So I ate eggs, stew meat, which is basically lean blocks of meat, red meat, and I ate ground beef, and I got the fattiest options of ground beef as well. So if that's 80/20 or 73/27, that's what I ate. And I felt great. I got really lean. The freshman 15 turned into the sophomore 30, uh, turning into the junior probably 45 pounds that I actually just boom, gone. I was back to being lean the way I was when I first entered college. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. But and the mental clarity of all these things that we talk about, all the benefits, the powerfully positive benefits of carnivore, I experienced that, but it wasn't normal. That's the catch. It wasn't normal. It's so once I got out of that environment, I moved out to a different apartment with some of my soccer teammates at that time. I played in a club team. Um, and there was more noise around, and it was just like, okay, go eat all these other things, and the weight picked back up, and playing soccer became more difficult again because I was heavier. But yeah, so I lived the carnivore lifestyle before it was today's modern form. But again, I know humans have never left this lifestyle.
Yeah. And do you believe that, okay, and then you got into like the unhealthy lifestyle as you just spoke about, to eventually return back into a carnivore lifestyle? Was it easy to turn back into carnivore because you already had that experience from when you were younger?
Yes, absolutely. I knew right away that's the direction to go.
Yeah.
I asked myself when was the moment where I did best. I look back year by year, going backwards in time. Keto didn't work. Low carb didn't work. Paleo somewhat worked. Pescatarian somewhat worked. Vegetarian, vegan somewhat worked. All these things, I'm going backwards in time. And I said, ah, the first thing I really did was carnivore or a meat based, and I felt great. I look back, I compare myself to all these different trends and diets, and I went back to the base, and boom, there's the answer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat just meat.
How has transitioning into a carnivore lifestyle that you've done now for 2 years and 3 months, more or less, how has it influenced other areas in your life?
The effects are far reaching. So surprised. If anyone's going to start a carnivore diet that hasn't, document it every day. Just do it because I look back now, wish I could look at my former self and just compare. Now, of course, the weight side, I can compare the weight of heavy weight that I used to be with pictures, but it's more of the mental clarity, the energy, the desire for community, the desire to love. I think all these are based on hormonal balancing from eating properly, that it makes a true effect on all these areas. So hormones are balanced now. There's no ups and downs. There's not a roller coaster ride of a day anymore. I wake up, energy is at 100%, and energy until I go to sleep is at 100%. That's what it is. There's no middle of the day. Oh, I'm tired. I need coffee. I need energy drinks. And a lot of my coworkers, for example, when we're in the busy moments, often actually ask me like, "How are you still going?" I'm just going based on what my energy needs feel like. I'm not and I'm removing myself from the situation. And carnivore, the mental clarity, some of it's like almost elevating beyond the conflict itself, beyond the busy nature, beyond the pressures or the time crunch. It's more like, okay, whatever, we'll get it done. And we'll get it done as in I'm gonna attack it now. No waiting. We have to do this objective, or if I'm at home and something needs to, let's attack it now. And that the same sense that I mentioned earlier, critical thinking isn't difficult. It's not a dissertation. It's not a 4 year or 6 year degree with an internship included in between. No, critical thinking is just simple questions now. And again, the simple question now. And so now it's to this point in life where I'm going to get something done. It doesn't mean that it's challenging, but I'm going to get it done now. And that's mental clarity.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's interesting. I was in a with a group of guys the other day, and we were talking. We were with a large group, and someone was saying, "Listen, I'm looking for an accountability partner because I just don't get my shit done." And I was like, "All right, I'll be your accountability partner. No problem. I'll make sure you get your shit done." So when the group dispersed, he came up to me. He's like, "Oh man, thanks for wanting to be my accountability partner. What can I help you with being accountable for?" And I was, to be honest, nothing. There's nothing. I don't procrastinate anymore. I don't put things for next week or next year anymore. Exactly as what you just said, and that's why it resonates. I'm just getting shit done. I just do it. If it needs to be done, I do it. And I don't come up with a billion excuses as to why I can't do it, or I'm tired in the afternoon, as you say. I'm not sure. Basically, half of my life, I'm living in a haze in which I cannot stimulate myself to do anything. No, I'll just get it done. I wake up at 7:30, I'm on. I take it easy in the morning, but straight away I'm on. And as you say as well, and when I go to bed, I'm nice and tired, and the switch goes off, and there's literally an on and there's an off switch. And it's such a difference as with before, where you were
Yeah.
just many times you were dragging yourself through so many hours through the day. Absolutely, that totally resonates. So when you look
Yes,
back at
absolutely.
the old at the old James, the non-carnivorous James, October
Mhm.
2023 and before, basically, what was, in your opinion, what I'm trying to ask is, when you're in that state as you were, was there any feeling of wellness at all, or did you feel like you were dragging yourself through every day? I mean, where was the measurement of wellness then compared to now, of feeling well?
Yeah, I did not feel well, clearly. I knew that in the moment. And I go back to the same phrase, critical thinking. Asking myself, why do I feel like I'm dragging every day? I would actually tell myself, when I would tell my husband this, I don't feel like I'm awake. I don't feel like I'm fully awake today. And this is not just one day, this is compounding over years. When I'm by myself, a lot of times, like I mentioned, simply driving in the car. It'd be a Saturday afternoon, sun is shining with the dog. We're going out to the park to have a great time. We're going out to the beach to have a great time. And on the drive there, I don't feel like I'm excited for this. What don't I have to be excited about? The sun's out. We're about to be outside. And then when we get there, the same thing. I feel somewhat lethargic, really weird. I don't know why I feel this way. These are the simple things I had to really face head on and ask, why do I feel this way? And these are motivating factors. It's not just the weight, it's not just the joint pain, it's not doing the static workouts, as I had mentioned earlier. It's also these feelings of when it's a Saturday or a weekend, a full day to enjoy life, and I don't enjoy it. That's a troubling alert.
Yeah. you say you're married. What role did your husband play in this as well? Is he carnivore? Did you do this whole journey on your own? How do you guys navigate this together? Or maybe he instigated you?
He did instigate me actually. So in between all of this, he is carnivore. We are a carnivore household, and our dog is also carnivore.
Good.
And it's us three in the house. But yeah, he actually did instigate me back in 2015 with Nina Teicholz's book, The Big Fat Surprise. And shout out Nina for probably being a very heavily not unofficial influence on the inverted food pyramid. But anyhow, I digress. But back to her book, which was released, I believe, in 2014. He'd heard about on a podcast, and he bought it from Amazon and said, "Hey, read this." At this time, of course, neither of us were carnivore, and the book isn't about carnivore diet, but it does speak to the benefits of cutting out all the excess foods except for high fat meats and butter, and being helpful and beneficial. So I still have that book. I've read it through 3 times, proper with notes on the pages. And so I was learning about what would turn into be my lifestyle now. But again, that was 10 years ago because well now 11 we're in 2026. So yeah, but my husband actually introduced me, and so there that was a insight when I switched mentally on that October 22nd to say I'm going to eat meat. I also not only had my own experience in college, but I had read Nina's book, The Big Fat Surprise, 3 times through, technically two and a half. By the halfway through the third go around, I was like, okay, I think I get it now. But yeah, that was he gave me insight into fast forward to today when I started carnivore. It took only about 6 months into my journey for my husband to tell me, all right, I don't need the extras. Just give me the meat as I'm cooking. I said, oh, okay, let's go. You're in. And ever since that, so he's now a year, that will make him about almost a year and 8 months into this journey for himself.
Amazing. How is he doing?
Great. Yeah, he's also healthier, mental clarity, all the benefits, all the positively powerful benefits that we experience, he's experiencing too. Energy, just desire to love, desire to be social. That's the biggest change I've seen in him. Is like before he was very quiet, arguably timid in a sense, not actually timid, but just in a social environment, not starting or instigating or continuing conversation. There's more to oneself. And now he's the complete opposite. I see the change at his job, whether he's working here at home on meetings, whether I join him at social outings. He is just an outgoing, outspoken human being now that I really attribute to eating properly.
Amazing. Has both of you guys getting into carnivore also changed anything within your relationship?
Nothing about our relationship was pretty good already. So I think that the biggest change now is what we talk about. I can see his comments on social media, and he'll see mine, and if it's a mutual post that we like or we dislike, and it's really fun. I think that's the biggest change is we've just been able to be speak more freely of truth seekers. He doesn't have to try to hide to himself and be like, hey, I think this way about food. I'm on this side saying I think about that way about food. I'm going to comment. Hopefully, you don't see my comment. And then we realize, oh, we're actually on the same page. We're both truth seekers, outwardly. We're not just in the in our own home eating meat. No, we're actually on social media trying to share what works and what doesn't work.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, James, if someone is listening to this conversation and they recognize themselves in part or maybe in total of your experience, what do you hope that they hear?
Well, it's a really deep question. If you're questioning, number one, you're questioning for a reason. I'd start there. Ask simple questions continually. Um, don't stop at why am I questioning? Start asking what am I questioning? Simple things of am I who I want to be right now? Am I getting tired in the middle of the day? Why is that? Am I unable to get on the ground and am I unable or am I unmotivated to go work out? That's a big one. Am I unmotivated to be active? If the answer is yes, that's a hormonal imbalance. Motivation is hormonal. Now, I say that because when I now, again, 2 years, 3 or 4 months into this journey, I want to go move. It is an absolute non-negotiable to move. And I don't have the question of, oh, should I go work out today? Should I do X, Y, and Z with my movement? No, I'm going to do it because it's as essential as me breathing and drinking water and eating.
Yeah, that resonates, man. Today, like, is my rest day, and I don't like rest days. I want to move. I want to work out, and I know I have to take my rest days because it's in the rest days. Well, I mean, rest is as important as moving, but I know exactly what you mean. I just want to move out. I want to work out. I want to move. So yeah, that I think, Matt, I think that were some really beautiful things for people to sit with here as well. What you just said now at the end, I think it's very powerful. I really like that critical thinking aspect. And I do believe that maybe a lot of people in the world have kind of, I wouldn't say lost the capability because we all have it, but have lost the habit of critical thinking. And I would say even more so when it concerns ourselves. We're very easy to judge other people, circumstances in the world, politics, whatever it is. We have all this critical thinking pointing outwards, but critical thinking pointing inwards, that's not easy because what happens as well is when you do that, you're being faced with your own bullshit. And a lot of people don't like being faced with their own bullshit. They want to live in the dream, and they definitely don't want to look at themselves, yet point their fingers outwards and give everything around there the blame for why their situation is as it is. So yeah, critical thinking, very, very strong proponent of that one. James, is there anything that we haven't discussed that you feel is important for people listening to understand besides critical thinking? Because we discussed that one.
Yes. I mean, we talked about a lot, and this lifestyle is so broad that it's tough to cover in one conversation, but I do want to leave it with don't rely on authority. There are rules and there are structures, but don't rely on authority because once you do, and I say you in the third person, because not you, Patrick, of course, then you are giving away all autonomy. All of it goes away. And that is no way to live life. And I say that it's not authority in the standpoint of just the USDA guidelines that are out now or whether it's previous version. Let's also look at the quote science and the quote studies. If you need to rely on these studies for proof on what to eat, then you've already given away your own autonomy to critically think and to eat properly. If a study says that meat is increased for all-cause mortality, look at number one, look at the funding parties of the study. Most often, it's going to be through some government agency or through like some insurance group or a big food corporation. And what interest do they have? That these are their interests. So so don't submit to authority in that sense. There are still rules and structures. Like your mom and your dad are still going to be your mom and your dad. Can't change that. Okay. Your brother and sister are going to be your siblings. Your boss at work is still going to be boss at work. But you can open up a new foundation of understanding and a new foundation of independence when you realize you don't have to submit to authority.
Beautifully said. Amen. James, if people want to follow your journey, they want to learn more about you, they want to see this energetic person, where can they follow you? Where can they find more information about you?
Yes, thank you again for having me. I am on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube as all the same name. It's all one word bundled together at James Eats Carnivore. That's just a
Perfect.
foundation of the lifestyle. Yeah.
Very good. I will make sure that it's down in the show notes as well, so people can just simply click on the link and start following you there. Well, James, that was awesome. I had a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your story as well. And it's very inspiring. I think the energy you bring to the table is really inspiring. And I'm sure that there will be people watching this at some point and will think like, he's got something that I want too. And basically the step to make is critical thinking and buy a steak, I
Absolutely.
guess.
Patrick, pleasure.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, James. All right. For everyone who is out there watching this podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. This story from James, again, it shows what happens when you start taking responsibility for your own life. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's beautiful nuggets that he shared with us that hit you. If that's what happened, I invite you to sit with it. If he said some things that might have hurt you a little bit, don't be too quick to judge, but take it with you, sit, and anything that was shared by James that you feel was a little bit hurtful is an invitation to find out within why it hurt. So this is what I invite you to do. Now, if his story has inspired you to share it with someone else because there's somebody there in your life that you feel could do with exactly this type of enthusiasm and energy and way of looking at things, then I invite you to share the video with them. Otherwise, please leave a comment and let us know what you thought of this podcast. Like, always good. Subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I shall see you guys next time again. Welcome to your upgrade.
Thank you for watching the Patrick Alexander podcast.